Okay, so if you will hit the kindly hit the down button, because a couple of these, what I've done with the slides is, yeah, they kind of things like fall in, at certain place. But Noah, I do want to let you know that, you inspired this presentation. I can't go another second without saying, Noah, I really appreciate you for being there because, you really made a lot of us rethink, the possible healing phenomena and, extreme, psychic ability. And, now it has a stamp, it has a meaning, it's written down, it's facts. If you take everything I said about personality and gifts, okay, if you take that to heart, then you got to take this too. So I laugh. I did put this disclaimer in. I said, please bear in mind that on quantum bliss, because this is more of like a timed, you've only got 30 minutes, I think. So I always tell people, bear in mind the number of combinations of planetary aspects and asteroids indicating psychic or mystical ability reflected in natal charts exceeds the numbers of minutes I have for this presentation. So just because you don't see it in this one doesn't mean it isn't there. It just means that, we didn't get to necessarily talk about it, and we won't be able to get it. There's like 40,000 asteroids, and, a good portion of them, are related to psychic ability and healing and, all kinds of different abilities. But, and really I can't list them all practically. So that's, like I said, I had to put out a disclaimer. It's like, well, I didn't see my placement in that presentation. Well, maybe it doesn't mean it's not there. It doesn't mean you don't have it. It just means that I didn't get to talk about it just now. So for people, if you'll hit the next slide, I always tell people, if you were raised like heavily in church, I like to say it this way, the Bible, the biblical astrology. Next slide. And then first one I talk about, go ahead and hit again, is Genesis, 1:14. God said, let there be lights in the firmament of heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. And before Jeremiah, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. And another quote in Jeremiah says, for I know the plans that I have for you. If you hit the other button, the other slide will come down. For I know the plans I have for you, Jeremiah 29:11. Okay, and we all talked about astrology being the roadmap of your life. When a soul, you decided to become a part of this world, you came in with a roadmap. Now, the other parts I like to talk about, if you were raised in a heavily Christian environment, here's why you're not going to hell, at least not for astrology, okay? And that's because, first of all, we talk about, remember how the wise men found baby Jesus. It was the astrologers, the three wise men, okay? God didn't call them the three idiots, okay? He called them the three wise men, and they came bearing gifts. And, this also brought a lot of other, manifestation that they, for the Christ child. And another one is the Old Testament Joseph. He had a dream about, his mom, or his dad and his mom, and the moon and the stars, everybody like bowing down to him. A little arrogant, I agree, but it's still in the Bible. If that doesn't say, stars, sun, moon, and stars all bowing down to you, doesn't say astrology, I don't know what does. So the statistics, the astrological statistics, we all know that the phases of the moon affect the tides of the ocean. If the earth is about 75% water, then so is the human body. We're not exempt. And then next slide. And how people have asked me, how does astrology work? And I say, well, it starts like this: based on the day, the time, and the place that you were born, an individual was born, the stars, the planets, the asteroids will line up in that specific formation only once every 26,000 years. Or if you want to be very specific, 25,698, but I like round numbers. So, yeah. Next. Okay. Oh. Now, okay, I'm glad that this came. Okay, so maybe something didn't come through properly, because actually the A, where you see this, well, the lowercase a, it should have had a symbol for the sun. Okay, so I'm sorry, it uses a specific graphic and sometimes it doesn't always translate. So my apologies for that one. The sun and where it is placed in your chart is going to tell you where you will shine. Next slide. The moon. The moon is your feelings, your intuitions, and your memories, the memories that you keep in your soul of other incarnations. It's also known as the timekeeper. Mercury, how do you communicate? How do you process information? Mercury governs electronic communication, and it is known that the brain produces electrical waves. So if you've had trouble this past 3 weeks, it's because this has been one of the nastiest but Mercury retrogrades I've experienced yet. So Venus, okay, the planet Venus is, what does love look like to you, and how do you express and experience love? Mars, what is your passion? How do you take action? What will you defend? Jupiter, what gifts were given to your soul? How will you make the most of them? And how will you bless the world? Saturn is, what karmic lessons are here to be learned in this lifetime, and what gifts and talents did you bring with you? Uranus, the planet Uranus. For a long time, I like to insert this too. For the longest time, everybody, we've only had 7 planets, okay? And I realize that the sun and moon are not by definition planets, but in astrology, there were only 7 luminaries. 7 is also a number that is repeated in the Bible, 7 archangels, 7 plagues, 7 this, 7, 7, 7, okay? And if we count them, we just went through the sun, the moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, 7, okay? And so we knew we had 7 planets up until 1780. And that was when we discovered Uranus. And Uranus is kind of considered to be the ruler of astrology. It's also called the Great Awakener. It's the young predictability in the universe. And it's associated, when aspected, it's associated with clairvoyance, clairaudience, and it's also known as the higher vibration of Mercury. Neptune was called the Great Dissolver. It's also the spiritual awakening, and it can too mean self-deception, but because it's also associated with the Oracle of Delphi, because remember how they would kind of put them in like a trance sort of state, and so that's what Neptune can also signify, like people who can put themselves in trance-like states. And it's associated with substances, escapism, and mystic phenomena. And I recently learned, I don't know if I shared this with you too, but I recently learned that in 1848, the wife of President Pierce, she was actually having seances in the White House at the same time Neptune was being discovered. So, and it's also, the 1840s also saw a big shift in religion. So that's when a lot of like the branches of, Christianity, even Judaism, broke off, because you ended up with Seventh-day Adventists, you ended up with Pentecostal, you had people starting utopian societies, Baptist, Methodist, Episcopalian, the whole lot, but that's when 1840 saw everything kind of taking different branches. And that brings us to last but not least, and that is Pluto. And Pluto is the great transformer. It was discovered in 1930, and it's associated with nuclear energy, so it always has a special place in my heart, and emotional intensity. And properly aspected, it can intensify psychic or mystic ability. So with that, let's look at some pictures. There's Mercury. Next slide. That is Venus. And then we're going to see Uranus. There we are, that blue planet. And then the planets that are most common in psychic ability, when we consider that, and then if you hit the slide again, it'll show you is the moon. We consider, it'll hit the slide again because it'll come out with more, I think, Mercury, and then Uranus, and of course Neptune. And those are the four, those and Pluto, and those are like really the five big players that, you know, we kind of look for what asteroids are aspecting them, or at least what I've witnessed, and, you know, who I've interviewed and what I've seen. So next slide. So asteroids, and then we hit the slide a couple of times. And again, this is not an all-inclusive list, but aura, it's, you know, people who are able to see, you know, the color, you know, around somebody, you know, that asteroid is available. And, you know, and telepath is, you know, like telepathy, you know, it's pretty self-explanatory. Discovery is, you know, it kind of covers the mind, and what, you know, we have only begun to understand, maybe, you know, not even quite half of what our minds and brains are capable, that which we're capable. Then we have hypnosis. Hypnosis is, you know, somebody who can almost have like a, you know, put other people into a hypnotic, you know, a state. And what that can do is that can bring about healing, you know, because of subconscious trauma, or, you know, any type of, there's also, you know, a subconscious, besides our conscious, that needs healing. Sometimes subconsciously we need it too. And this helps. Urania is also an asteroid that's very associated with astrology. And it's, you know, Apollo. Apollo was the sun god in ancient Greece and also ancient Rome. So, you know, he was also kind of recognized as the god of healing. And, you know, so Psyche. Psyche is another Greek mythological figure who was actually, it's a long story, but she was actually married to the, whom you would say is Cupid, almost, Eros. And, but Psyche is, you know, kind of like the inside of, you know, like a person's brain and mind, and where that falls. And it makes them, you know, a little bit more inclined. Spirit is people who are, can either, maybe they don't necessarily see a spirit, but they can sense them very strongly. And, you know, they can get a lot of information just, you know, by, you know, being amongst a place that, you know, harbors, you know, maybe even some haunting. So, and Horus, as we know, was the Egyptian, that was the eye, you know, the Egyptian eye, the healing eye. So, you know, that's another one that's associated with basically telepathic healing. Okay, it was like, you know, radiated. The sun radiates health, it radiates heat, it radiates wellness. And, you know, Horus was also a part of that in ancient Egypt, as Apollo was to Rome and Greece. Reiki. Reiki is yet another asteroid that does appear. And, you know, I believe the Japanese, and correct me if I'm wrong, ladies, it does mean that it's like healing wind, or healing.
Universal life force.
Okay. Yeah, but there is an asteroid dedicated to it. So, but yeah, it's something that, you know, a lot of people believe is a very legitimate way to heal somebody, is to channel energy. So, I think there's another few more asteroids to touch on. Asclepius is an asteroid that was named after a Greek physician. And, you know, he was kind of, you know, he introduced a lot of like modern methods. You know, he believed in, you know, healing from within, healing from the soul. So he's another asteroid that, you know, should be considered, that you should look for. Anubis, the Egyptian god, you know, he also was, you know, kind of responsible for dictating, you know, just people would often pray to him for, you know, special favors, or even, you know, abilities. That's what I remember. Hygeia just means it's health. It's health in general. So, you know, we're not always dealing with, mind or mystical problems. Sometimes it's just practical. You know, it's where we get hygiene. Okay, you know, sometimes you know, it's not very complicated. All you got to do is wash your hands. You know, so Ceres is the Roman goddess of harvest, really. She's where we get the word cereal. So if you think somebody who like nourishes and nutritious, my screen has gone blank. It's Mercury retrograde. Let me see if I can't go back. I may have to drop out and rejoin you. Okay.
That's fine.
Okay, you're right there. Series Pallas. Okay, so Pallas Athena, and what that is that she is the goddess of wisdom, and you know, with any gift is, you know, you need to know how to use it wisely. If it's, you know, aspected well, you'll know when to speak and when not to speak. You'll know when to offer your, you know, your gift to somebody, and you'll know when not to. You know, so I can't emphasize that enough. You know, she was the one who, oh, yep. So once again, unfortunately, it says Z asterisk BC and X. Unfortunately, that's my my software. It, you know, it had the symbols for what you'd see in a chart, but a conjunction sort of looks like a circle with a line coming out of it. Okay, you'd see that if I printed it out. Sometimes software doesn't translate properly. But the appearance of a conjunction in a chart says that, you know, several planets are collaborating together, and sometimes it's called a stellium. So I'm just naming what these aspects, when you see it in your chart, what it means. And that usually means that several planets are in the same sign or in the same house. And we refer to that as a conjunction. The appearance of a sextile is when planets are about 60 degrees from each other, and that suggests the opportunity to develop a gift. Now you can choose not to, and that's fine. But you know, it is in your was in your backpack when you were sent here, so you know, you do have it. You know, and you know, there's all kinds of ways that, you know, to meditate and think on how you would gravitate towards that. The appearance of a trine in a chart suggests that the presence, or, you know, it was born there. You don't really have to do anything to develop it. It's just there. So, you know, a trine is facility and ease, and usually planets are talking to each other easily, you know, easiest during the trine. Or like I might have explained in my reading, see, the zodiac wheel is 360 degrees. So, and there's 360 degrees in any circle, and that's just geometry. And then, so trine is anything that is 120 degrees apart from something, and sextile is 60 degrees, and so forth. But the appearance of a square in a chart, it's kind of difficult because it's the opportunity to reconcile two energies. And if you have a square, you know, people think, oh, square is bad, opposite bad. No, it's not bad. It just does, you know, I've had this poor lady sit down. She said, an astrologer told me I had a bad chart. And I said, you don't have a bad chart. I said, you got a lot of squares and oppositions. I said, really? But where's the victory without a little scuffle, you know? I mean, you know, I know people with trines and sextiles that do nothing with their lives, you know? So, I mean, this says that you're accomplishing something. So, you know, I take a square over that any day. But the opposition in the chart does say that you have an opportunity to balance a gift, and it depends on, you know, again, once again, the sign and you know, exactly what it's opposite from. So, and that tells you a lot. That tells you a little bit more about what capabilities you have in your chart. Next, please. Okay. So, and then if you hit it one more time, it should say subject, yep, subject 0001. Okay, so what we can see from this person is that they have a sign of Leo on their ascendant. They also have hypnosis very close to their, besides the planets, there are 4 very sensitive parts in the chart that, you know, need to be considered. And that would be if you think of the chart like a compass, okay, the ascendant would be the west, the descendant would be the east, the MC or the midheaven would be north, and then the Imam Coeli, which is kind of like the inner side, would be south. So this person was obvious, and with Uranus right on his ascendant, he was designed to stand out. He was not designed to come into this world to fit everybody's, you know, expectation of a man born at his time. And so he was very often, he had dreams, okay, and he could very easily be put into a trance. And these dreams, because you have Uranus next to the psyche, he could travel with his mind to places that he otherwise physically would be impossible. He also had the ability of he had spirit, okay, again, so he was very much a part of the spiritual world. It was very natural to him. There were no surprises to him. And spirit, or like interesting psychic phenomena, was about as novel as wallpaper. It just was what it was, and just how it worked. He's got Reiki. It's REI, and you'll notice that in the house that's marked 5, and it's next to Mars. So this person was a champion for Reiki, or distance healing. If I think that's a good definition of that. He's also got the Eye of Horus next to Pallas Athena. Pallas is the one that looks like a diamond with a little toothpick, and 2 degrees from that. And that says that, he had a lot of wisdom as, he got wisdom as he got older, I would have to say, as to, who really needed him and who was jerking his chain, forgive me. So then we notice the other asteroid, Telephus. Telephus is right on his descendant. It's within 2 degrees. So that meant that this person did have a lot of telepathic behavior. He could, communicate telepathically. He could, understand things that, nobody else seemed to understand, and knowledge that didn't seem to come from this world. He has discovery on his north node. And that meant that he was, kind of a person whose life and abilities should be examined. Because, he spent a lot of time asking himself, gosh, is this really what I'm supposed to be doing here? And the reason I point that out, you'll notice that up in the 9th house, he's got Uranus and Pluto. Oops, I'm sorry, not Uranus, I apologize. Neptune, Moon, and Pluto. And they're a little bit in a stellium. And it does say that, he was very, very reluctant to deviate. You'll notice that Neptune, the planet the Trident, is up, it's in the planet Taurus, which means he had very ideas that were instilled in him as a young person. And because Urania, the asteroid, was next to that, it meant that, he didn't understand why he thought differently. And he struggled. He didn't want it. Okay. He was, he was actually, a very good minister. He was very familiar with the Bible. He was very, he was a Christian, raised Christian. And he really fought everything that, he was given, but he was known as a remarkable remote healer. And if you hit the next button, you'll know that who am I talking about? Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet. So subject 1020 has exhibited a remarkable number of psychic ability and gifts, clairaudience and clairvoyance. What strikes this person the most is you'll see that Uranus, being in the 1st house, is perfectly trine the sun, and they're both at 26 degrees. So again, this person knew things that they really shouldn't have known at a very young age, and it was just part of their personage, and they didn't worry too much about it, because that's just how things always went. So Mars is next to discovery. So this person is, also a very passionate person about, talking about, different abilities and things that aren't always, recognized and licensed by traditional religion. And so, she was very, this person was very, very much a promoter of it, and saying, no, it is real. What you experienced was real. This person has also had UFO encounters. And, people have said, this person, my subject here was insane. And no, wasn't insane. She was just told to, kind of keep her mouth shut. And, that sadly happens. But she's got Urania, which is 60 degrees from Pluto. So that means, she would be very, very familiar with, the ability, of astrological influence. Okay. She would also have psyche, the ability to see inside somebody with Pluto, 60 degrees, not only Pluto, but Saturn. And she does have the squaring the nodes exactly is the degree of hypnos. And hypnos means, watching her can be something of, can put you in some type of a trance. And she is not easily hypnotized, actually, because it's squaring the nodes. So, she's better awake, sometimes, but that's just how that works. The other thing that this person, this subject, I know I go back and forth. I'm trying to be strict and say this subject, but so this subject also has an aspect with, you'll notice that she's got a spirit, okay, which is trying her ascendant. So this person can and does often interact, bless you, does often interact with, spirits on the other side. And, it's just a part of the identity. She's got 24 degrees from the south node, comes with, and also it's trying the north node, and interestingly enough, is Reiki and telepathy, both in the sign of Capricorn, which is all about tradition and, following laws. And so what you're looking at is somebody who's very ethical, in their, dealings with, what they try to communicate outwardly, at least, sort of out. She's also got a, let's see here, well, that's Libra and Saturn, which is, yeah, Pluto and Neptune are also within 60 degrees of each other. And it's, yeah, so you have somebody that's, going to be pretty, kind of dominant, in terms of able to access their abilities. And, they knew them from a young age and it was okay. Let's see, Apollo trines the moon. So once again, you have somebody who's very concerned emotionally, for people and understands that, sometimes when you can't speak, the mind speaks for us. But that is subject 1020, a very good clairvoyant. Next, we have subject 0212. Does this look familiar to any gentleman that might be on the call?
It's Noah.
It's Noah. Noah, it's you, dear. It's you. So the first one, the one big thing is very interesting is he's got Mercury. The planet Mercury is opposite of Urania. Okay, it's an opposition. But, oppositions are, he's balancing, like the practical applications of taking his gift out into the world. It's, I mean, yes, it's one thing to have a gift, but then what do we do with it? And that's important too. He's also got Mercury conjunct Uranus, which makes him a very creative thinker. And, somebody who's always thought, just thought differently. Their thought patterns are just different. They can usually foresee things. They don't understand it, but it happens. I mean, I can give you an example. My grandfather, he had a Uranus Mercury conjunction, and he would have a funny way of usually calling it right. And one of the things that, when JFK was shot, and of course the whole thing was in mourning, he shrugged and he said, well, now all they have left to do is shoot the patsy. I don't know. No, but that was just something he was capable of. So here we have, you'll notice that Apollo is actually trining the sun. So this person was actually born with a great deal of healing ability, okay? And because, it's trining the sun in the 11th house, the 11th house being, the house of hopes and wishes, it does say that, this person can create a healing situation and a healing, ability, for other people. He's got subject, I'm trying to be good. Subject has moon trine Reiki, which once again, that does mean that, at his emotional core, he really wants to heal people, and the way he does it may not be completely conventional. He came in with discovery conjunct the south node. So, and what that kind of says to me was maybe in a past incarnation, these abilities were maybe just starting to open up for him, or in the previous incarnation, we're just starting to open up, and then might have been time for him to go, but he came back in this life, to promote health, because North Node and Moon are in the Virgo sign. That not only is it technical and detailed and all that good stuff, but Virgos keep us healthy. You'll find a lot of Virgo placements are nurses and doctors. So it just it stood. So see here, the other he has telepathy next to Saturn, which is another thing that was Saturn being karmic in the 12th house. It says that maybe, it can suggest that maybe in a past life, he really wasn't sure about it and really didn't know what to do with it. And so for that, I'm not saying it was necessarily misused. I am going to say, though, that he came this time to try to kind of rectify it and get it right, and so with that, this person came in with telepathic ability. He was born with it, came right in. Jupiter is actually sextile from spirit, so this person could potentially develop the gift to speak with those on the other side, and this person probably imagines that there are how shall we say portal is kind of a generic word, but I prefer the word wormhole. Okay, and I think that there are wormholes like all around us. Like, a couple weeks ago when I was in Mansfield and the prison, so I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's a very, very haunted place. Saw a lot of nasty things in its time. But I'm not sure that if you're, like, for instance, if you have a spirit box or a ghost box or whatever they're called, EVP or whatever they're calling them nowadays, that when you're talking to somebody, and you ask them a question, I don't know that somehow they're like, going through some kind of wormhole and talking to you back. Because I always like to ask the question. Now, it was during Mercury retrograde, so none of our electronics, my phone died 3 times, I called it Lazarus, for heaven's sakes, you've got to come back. So it was, just the way it worked out. But, one of my favorite questions when you go to places is like, who's the warden? What year is it? I know they sound like dumb questions, but, if you're talking for somebody that, so this person certainly has the opportunity to develop that in this lifetime if they choose. Pluto is, intensifying their creativity because it's an absolute sextile. And, if so, that does say that, the psychic abilities and everything, because they're also any planet that's in 1, 4, 7, or 10, does tend to get a little extra juice or a little extra boost or however you want to say it. But because this person, is quite clairvoyant as well. So I won't reveal the name of the person unless, they ask me to, but this is the chart of Noah Smith. So, yeah. Hypnos.
He said you can use his name anytime. He wants to be heard. This is the lifetime he wants to be heard. He said, I didn't help you with this for no reason.
Well, actually, because Mars was close to the South Node, I think I might have mentioned this to Sharon. Because Mars is close to the South Node, it does say that in a past life, he was quite the fighter. You know, I mean, and he fought to discover what things were maybe hidden to, you know, the masses, if you will. And so, you know, I'm looking at somebody who, you know, kind of figured out early that they better hide what they can do. You know, I mean, that's just the way it was. You know, I say, hey, don't feel bad. I'm a redheaded Jew, you know, astrologer with clairvoyant abilities. They'd have had me burnt, you know, I shouldn't even be standing here. Okay. Surprised they don't do it more often. So, but yeah, this is a person who was kind of asking, you know, the question behind the question and didn't take anything at face value. And that may have been why that last incarnation ended. And but that's all right, because he's here now, and he's here to continue this work. And you know, by moving towards his north node, which is healing, and the moon close to that says Virgo, it does say somebody who's very practical, you know, and you know, so that's you know, and somebody who has the ability to be quite prominent with Jupiter and the Sun, and you know, a lot of planets in their upper house of the cardinal houses. So we'll go to the, I'm sorry, I let me see who made this here. What is, yeah, okay, this is subject 0124. Okay, so this person as well has a north node in Virgo. Okay, so once again, and because Saturn and Spirit, this is you know, an old soul who's come back to do a lot of work with Spirit, and you know, this person can see inside, because Pluto is 60 degrees from the north node. This person has like almost you know, X-ray vision, you know, when it comes to dealing with somebody, and you know, can size up a situation, you know, quicker than I can spit it out. Okay, so telepathy with Pluto means that this person is a very powerful telepathic speaker, you know, and does have that communication ability. Does have, because it's in Libra, it does say that there is like an element to, you know, it wants to come in to take care of people. It doesn't serve itself. And so, you know, it's here really to serve other people. Now we just hope that you know, sometimes Libras aren't always appreciated as much as they should be. But I think that's, you know, something, I think that's quite possible. So discovery is in the fourth house, and it's aspecting the asteroid Ceres. And when you see that, this is a person who nourishes others. Okay, it is an opposition, but it's a person who is actually now figuring out how to nourish those around her through what she has experienced and what she has discovered. And she's got Apollo on the south node, which tells me that in the last life she was a healer. She was a force for good. She was here to, you know, try to bring healing to, you know, whatever she was around. And see, highly clairvoyant, because you have Neptune and let's see here, where did the moon go? Let me kind of push this. I mean, I'm going to move this over here. Aha, there we are. Okay, so we have moon very close to Neptune. It's within 3 degrees, and it says, you know, this person is extremely clairvoyant. They also have they might have doubted it at first, okay, when they were real young and just kind of growing up, just for the sake of the fact that Mercury is sextile Uranus. So, you know, this person, if they wanted to, might be able to like manipulate electronics even in this life. If they want. If you don't want, that's fine too. You know, we're here to make you happy. Neptune is trine Horus, so once again has a very much, you know, good heart for people. This person with you know, does say I don't think was treated very well growing up, but has, you know, has like almost this divine compassion. for others. That is so rare, you know. And it also is actually sextiling Ceres and Vesta. So, you know, this person is very much a nourisher, okay? I don't think that this person uses like their abilities to like necessarily show off. It's not about that, okay? It's more about not, hey, everybody look at me. It's more like, hey, what can I do for other people? And, you know, but it is a nice card to be able to pull out of your back pocket. You know, nobody ever said that was wrong. So Mars Sun, it asked itself, why me? More than twice. And God said, so why not you? So, I understand. I get it. I do that too. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. There's never been anything wrong with that. And but also a very practical mind. So a lot of times, you know, probably in youth, you know, kind of rejected some of this, and then it overtook them probably in their teenage and their 20s, and it's like I can't deny this anymore. You know, I mean, you can try, but you're just going to look silly and you know, waste a lot of energy. But you know, that's I'm not here to tell you how to live. So Reiki, you know, Reiki with you know, being at 10 degrees Sagittarius, because it's still close enough to the moon, and it's also, let's see, is it squaring? Where is it? I know that it had a square. I saw it just a minute ago. It does square. Well, it doesn't square. It actually trines, or no, sextiles Ceres. So this is somebody who nourishes too with their like their thoughts, and they try to tell people, you know, good and positive things. So, you know, even when they're, you know, not conscious, it's quite lovely, this chart. So Urania is something that was brought in this lifetime. So that's, you know, any like the, I don't know, they called it New Age a long time ago. What are they calling it now? I don't know. What are they doing it? You know,
I think it's still New Age.
It's still New Age. I wish they would lose that term.
I'm going to change that though. I'm going to change it to be like, nah,
that's your job.
This is old age, just at a new time.
Your new job is to find a new word, because that's the only way I can explain it. Urania is open to, you know, was open to other possibilities rather than, you know, just, you know, what somebody told you or what the doctor said, or, you know, what is acceptable to believe at that time. So this person came in to change a lot of people's minds about things, and it don't come easy. It don't come easy. Also exhibits, it's considered a grand trine between the ascendant being the most personal part of the chart. It actually trines Mercury. So this person does, you know, communicate, you know, logically, very, very effectively. This person, you know, with a Mercury in Capricorn, they mean business, you know, and, you know, Earth Mercuries, you got to love Earth Mercuries. I have a soft spot in my heart because my Mercury is trying that. And so, you know, we won't open our mouth unless we know what we're talking about. That's just Earth Mercury. Very, very rarely you see one of them shooting off the mouth. But it's also trying the North Node. And so, you know, this person came in here to be themselves and to communicate about, you know, well, for instance, it's next to Pallas, and Pallas is wisdom, you know, really, you know, so, and it does have, you know, is Psyche opposing, does oppose, let's see, Psyche and Hypnos. So it's right here, Psyche being in the 8th house, you know, does say that it was hidden for quite some time. And, you know, Hypnos said that, you know, it's also falls in the 2nd house of resources. So this person could be a very good, you know, regressor, you know, could take you back through your past lives if you wanted. So, and we know who that is. Subject 0124, will you please raise your hand? Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Next. Okay. Next. Okay. Subject 0413. This person had a, this person has moon is actually 60 degrees perfectly from Neptune, which says that this person came in with the ability to develop a develop a gift to be able to talk about things from the past, because the moon, remember we talked about, it's like the memory, this person can unlock a memory of a place, and can also, let's see here, because moon is where are we going? Moon is square Mars. This person also fought very hard not to access it, and just figured that would not. It almost says that it would not be accepted by certain people if they opened their mouth and told everything that they really knew. So probably spent a good deal of their youth, reading about this stuff in the closet, and didn't really see how it would be effective. Saturn, it trines the spirit, and Saturn trine spirit does say that this person did come in with the ability to see and sense things very strongly. And so, this person will be very sensitive to the presence of spirits or the presence of energy. It is kind of with Mars, and let's see here, what else is it? It trines Apollo. So it does say that, this person brings a lot of healing and a lot of understanding, and opens up a lot of things just by explaining to people, this is a history of a place and we should be respective. The asteroids of Apollo, Spirit, and Discovery form a grand trine. And what that is, Discovery being Scorpio, in the sign of Scorpio, says that this person discovered hidden things. Things were probably hidden from this person for a long time. And yet somehow they knew, beforehand what somebody was going to tell them. Hypnos on the ascendant means one of two things. It means that, this person can access things remotely with their mind and their subconscious, or they can have really violent dreams. Urania is next to Saturn, which means that in another lifetime, and Apollo also is conjunct Saturn, that this, and Horus. So this person had a great deal of, responsibility to, use kind of like the hidden arts, if you will, to, give people information. There is telepathy next to Ceres, which says that, and it's kind of in a Caden house, so it doesn't say that it's a very strong placement for telepathy. However, because it's Ceres, if someone needed to contact this subject, that it could be done, kind of like on an intellectual level. This person does not deny that telepathy exists, but this person wants to use Ceres along with telepathy to nurture. And that's just a part of this person's, psyche. The psyche is right along with in Gemini. So that means, when the subject got older, she was able to more clearly talk about experiences and, what really happened, versus what she might have said when she was young. So sometimes we grow into our abilities. And let's see here, Mercury Uranus opposition says that this person's mind never, ever, ever rests, and so that means that the subconscious is going all the time. And but again, the ability to explain spirits, explain the past, bringing in, astrologer was probably, at least a couple lifetimes was an astrologer. And subject 413 will raise their hand. So that's good. So
put your hand up for everyone, Sharon.
Reiki next to Venus says that, somebody is, very much, interested in, like healing, has a love of helping others, and while this person may not have like the, the ability of Edgar Cayce or the ability of, our previous example, this person will guide and counsel others. you know, and kind of be sort of like the voice, the voice behind the throne, you know. So that's me. I'm subject 413. So
I thought it was Sharon. I didn't see her raising her hand. That's why.
But we are pretty similar.
413 will raise her hand. Yes.
I thought
413
you were
keeps
saying
that.
it to Sharon. I was like, I didn't see your hand, Sharon. Oh my God, I love it. I'm so
They're very similar about the brains not shutting
I
down.
know. I was
Yeah,
like, oh, this
Sharon had
poor
the same
person.
aspect. Sharon had the same
was laughing.
aspect in different.
Yeah.
They were in different signs, but it doesn't matter. The aspect is the aspect, and
Oh.
so mine never shuts.
Oh no.
It never.
I know. I
shuts
was
the
like, I
front
feel
door.
so bad for this person. No rest in the mind. Where do you go for safety? Like,
You don't. You just make do with what you can.
oh no.
It's called Xanax, honey. And it takes. No, I'm serious. It takes me 3 milligrams to go down at night. That's, you know.
Wow.
I had an
Well,
overactive.
I'll send some energy your way to help with sleep. I'm really good at helping with sleep. That's a good thing I can do.
Yeah, you can. I know, because where your hypnos and where your Neptune was very much, you know, a soother, you know. But yeah, let's see. I think that might be my last slide. Yeah. So I talked about, you know, because there was only a half an hour presentation really, and I know I went over because it's just us chickens, and you know, I wanted to elaborate on you know, everybody's chart more than I probably will get a chance to at the Quantum Bliss. But you know, I at least wanted to tell you guys, you know, what was going on. And